Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the MindShare Podcast, the show that cuts through the noise, says what most people won't say, and gives you the real-world strategies to help you work smarter, build mindshare, and grow a business that actually makes you money. I'm your host, David Greenspan, and this is episode number 363. And today, we're going somewhere different. I'm going to tell you a story that I don't think I've really ever told publicly, or not in this much detail at least. A story about how KiTS started, a story about a moment that lit a fire inside of me, a story about competition, survival, consistency, and what it means to commit to something for almost 2 decades. And with the recent news, and many of you already know what I'm talking about, that a major competitor of ours is shutting their doors, well, the timing just feels right. Because when you build something with purpose, when you find something that lights your fire, you don't just survive the ups and downs. You outlast them. So today, let's go back in time. Let's talk about where KiTS came from. Let's talk about the moment that changed everything. And let's talk about why almost 18 years later, we're still standing, stronger than ever. Now I want to go back to the origin, the moment that this fire ignited. Every business starts somewhere, and mine started in a little office with a big idea and absolutely, I'd say, no roadmap. See, KiTS began because we saw something missing in real estate. We saw that agents needed a reliable, consistent, automated way to stay connected with their audience, even when life got busy, even when the market got slow, even when the motivation slipped. So we decided we're going to build these newsletters. Simple, tangible, effective. A marketing piece that actually kept people paying attention, that people kept. A touch point that built long-term predictable mindshare. See, we used to do this for big companies, Hewlett-Packard, Microsoft, and the reality is those are some very massive projects for some very massive clients. And, I mean, everything you do based on your business and the staff and all of us, we're all really reliant on this one big, client or a few big clients. And at the time, it was a handful of really, really big clients. But you start looking ahead, you start thinking about longevity, and you start thinking about sustainability. And we came up with this idea that thought, hey, we're really riding on these big clients. And if anything was to change, which it does change, they go through, they run campaigns, and they go swap something else out, then they go do something else. And, all the while, you could be just left standing there going, oh my God, we just lost a big client. Not because we didn't do something well, but just because that's kind of the way these big corporations move. So we thought again about this idea of sustainability. What are we going to do to create longevity? Create more maybe confidence in the business plan. And that was really where we decided to go and jump into this real estate industry. I come out of school from marketing. My father's a broker owner in real estate for 20 years, the first 20 years of my life. And lo and behold, I go and get my real estate license, which I've shared with you before. Probably got that 19 years ago. Don't trade in it. Went to get certified to sell mortgages and in fact got my building code here in Ontario. And with all these aspirations, somehow, came back and decided we're going to do this newsletter thing for realtors. And look, you know what? That started to take off. That started to explode really, really quickly. We got in, this was 2005, late 2005. We got into the whole thing, and we started going after offices everywhere. I was literally driving around the city, flying across the country, doing sales presentations in offices everywhere. I got to know the landscape of real estate very, very quickly. I was always on the road, slugging through the snow. I can still see it in my head. It was a slug. For sure it was a slug. And I bring all that up to say that, with that, we started to really amass a lot of clients very, very quickly. People were signing up in the dozens at an office meeting, And of course it was because I'm a great sales guy. But no, I bring that up in saying that the landscape that was out there, newsletters were a thing. It was an important part of people's businesses. We knew that repeat and referral was the gold. And, well, hey, look at that. 18, 19, 20 years later, it still is the gold. So we're doing a great job out there. Signing up lots of people. The business was exploding. We were on track to hit our year one targets, which we quickly learned wasn't as easy as we thought it would be. But, with goals, you have a roadmap. You know where you're getting up and going. You have direction. You follow that. And so we did that. Signing up people. Now, we're making noise, right? We're making an impact. I'm getting to know the industry. I'm getting to know who the competitors are. I'm getting to know where I'm having easier times getting into offices, harder times getting into the offices, where the relationships are built with other companies. I'm hearing about some of the other competitors a whole bunch every time I'm going to sign people up. We're taking a bunch of those people from the competitors. I mean, we're kicking ass out there. I mean, I tell you, we still are. But here's the part you haven't heard. It was about the second year in business, and my phone rang. And a guy says, he's a potential client, and he wants to learn more about KiTS. He wants to understand more about what we're doing with the newsletters, and he's asking a ton of questions, like lots of really, really good questions too, like questions that were specific, like almost too specific. And I was green. I was pretty new in the business. I wasn't really thinking. I'm like, yeah, I want to sign some, more people up. Phones are always ringing, and we're just going through our sales pitch. And as he kept talking, something felt off. But before that, it was, I'd done everything, given him all the examples. I'd sent him samples. We had done the follow-up call. I'd explained pricing. I'd explained how everything worked. And look, where the KiTS program really stands out is the variable data technology. This is where we personalize every single newsletter to the recipient. So think about that. You're an agent, you're a business, you have your contact list, you have your name, contact info, branding, photo. We take your entire brand, we wrap it through it, the entire letter, all the different marketing tools we offer. And obviously, 20 years later here, we're offering a lot more than just a newsletter these days. But we offer this fully customized, consistent-looking brand for you based on what your brand is. So it's totally cohesive with everything else you do. Well, then what happens is, based on the data that we have per contact in your database, so let's just picture 100 different contacts. Could be 500, could be 1,000, whatever it is. We literally create a unique, individually personalized letter, message, for each of those people. We want to know house types. We want to know relationship types. We want to know languages. Like if they're a friend and family versus a past client or potential client, we speak to them differently. Depends on how we ask for the referrals differently. If they're an owner, we speak to them very differently than a renter. If they live in a freehold, we speak to them differently than a condo apartment or a rental apartment or a townhouse. Depending on the holidays they celebrate and the languages they speak. Everything within this letter changes based on the different variables for each contact. And that's how we create this really, really highly personalized newsletter that the reality is nobody else can produce. Nobody. And this is really where our differentiator is. Now, this is what got people switching over because they realized, wait a second, it's not the same thing for every single person? No. We're creating a unique letter for each of your unique contacts with a unique message. Well, what's the big deal? Well, first of all, it's super cool stuff. But the bigger part of it is when people receive it and they see the relevance to it, they pay attention, which means it builds more mindshare. So we got this awesome technology. We are doing something that nobody's done. And still to this day, nobody can do. And it's not, you think about the technology, you think about all the intricacies behind it, we've mastered it. Most of these other companies haven't invested to do it. And it's certainly not the easiest thing to just turn on. So anyways, again, we've got this really unique thing. So this guy's asking questions. He's asking too many specific questions. And as he kept talking, something totally felt off. So I started to ask my own couple of questions. And this is when he turned and he said to me, I remember this clearly, he's like, you know what? I'm not ready to do anything right now. I'm taking off to Boca. We're going there for a couple of weeks. Why don't you chime me back in a couple of weeks and, I'll let you know what I was deciding. I thought, okay, we could do that. And he gave me his name. And the name that he gave me, something felt completely off. But I wrote it down. I got off the phone. And I sat there thinking something doesn't make sense. I'm not feeling, something is way off. And I don't know what it was, but my spidey senses started to tingle. And I realized this wasn't a potential client I was talking to. This was literally one of my main competitors. In fact, the biggest competitor that we had in the industry at the time, the one that we were taking a lot of business from. He called me pretending to be a lead because he wanted to know what I was doing. He wanted to see how dangerous I was going into sort of this marketing space. And I'll never forget what happened. I caught him. I called him up, and I'm like, I used his name that he gave me. In fact, he didn't give me his proper first name, but or maybe he gave me the proper first name, but not the last name. He gave me his middle name as his last name. But I used his name, like his proper name. When he picked up the phone, he said hello. I used his first name, and he's like, yeah. I said, hey, it's David Greenspan. And all of a sudden, he's like, hello? Hello? I caught him. He froze. And not only did he freeze, he hung up on me. Can you imagine this? He hung up on me. Now, here I am thinking, oh, my God, this guy just hung up on me. Like, I am fuming. I went back into my desk. I'm putting on my jacket. I got smoke coming out of my ears, coming out of my nose. And Tom across from me, Tom's one of our awesome staff. I mean, without Tom, none of this has happened. Amazing writer, content, just awesome. Anyhow, he looks at me, he's like, what's up? What's wrong? And I'm going, I am fuming. And he could tell the smoke coming out of everywhere. So I'll be back, kind of like the Terminator. Not really like the Terminator, but I was literally going to get in my car and drive over to this guy's office. Have my 2 cents with him in person. Yeah, I was, 21 years old or something at the time. So yeah, the thinking, the way we were going to deal with things might have been a little bit off. But regardless, here I am, literally getting my jacket on. I'm walking out the front door of the office, and all of a sudden my phone rings. I pick it up. I say hello, and he says, David. I said, yep. And he said his name. And he says, you got me. I'm like, that's right, I got you. He's like, I should have known. I'm like, yes, you should have. In fact, you should have called me like a gentleman and asked me the question like a gentleman, and I would have been happy to talk to you. Introduce yourself. Let me know who you are. Let's build a relationship. Who knows where that could take us? Yeah, we're competitors, but you never know. And as we kept talking, I said to him towards the end of the conversation, and I said it in the calmest tone possible. I said, thank you. And he goes, thank me? For what? I said, thank you, because you just lit a fire under my ass that is going to burn you down. And at that point, I hung up. And it's not because I wanted to destroy him. Because, moreover, like his fear of me this early, year 2, told me everything I needed to know. I was on to something. And if this guy here is worried, I'm going to make him really worried. In fact, I saw him at a trade show probably about a year later, maybe 2 years later. Never met the guy in person. And somebody pointed him out to me, and he was talking to a few people. And I walked up, and I walk up, and I sort of, stick my hand out. I say his name. He looks over. I stick my hand out. I introduce myself. So he sticks his hand out with a smile. We shook hands, and I looked him dead in the eye, and I just said to him, thank you. And that was it. He pulled his hand back away out of disgust. I walked away with a smirk on my face. And fast forward 18 years later, KiTS is still here. KiTS is still serving thousands. We're still innovating with new technology. We just brought in AI to help write with emails and social media. I mean, we just, a number of months back now. We're still leading the game. We've won 2 international awards for what we do with the newsletters here in the real estate game. And well, that guy? First, that guy exited stage left a number of years back. Maybe the competition was too fierce. Maybe he couldn't handle it anymore. But never mind him. The company that he was working for, that he claimed to be an owner of, which he actually never did own, they just announced that they've now stopped running their print newsletter anymore. That's it. Shut down. And that's not luck. That's fire. That's consistency. That's commitment. That's where we got to. That guy, that one individual lit a fire under my butt that I told him was going to burn him down one day. I told him we'd be here longer. In fact, not only have we outlasted them, but we've outlasted many of the companies that are out there. So here's what I want you to do, okay? Because I wanted to share that story with you. It's when we talk about lighting a fire, there's got to be something to drive you. There's got to be something that's going to push you to get to that next level. That's going to push you to say, you know what, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I don't care what kind of competition I got. Because once you got that, once you can find someone to light your fire, and you can use that to fuel you every single day to be better. Call it friendly competition, call it what you want. I really don't care what you call it. But when you find it, that takes you to the next level. So, action step for you here. I want you to think back to one moment that lit your fire. And ask yourself, are you still locked into that moment today? Go back to it. It could have been a competitor that did you wrong. It could have been a client that you won with. It could have been an experience, a situation that really fueled you. Are you still locked into that? Because I'll tell you, in the ups and the downs, and there's always going to be the downs, we've got to have something to hold on to. We've got to have something that's going to keep pushing us. And I got to tell you, that little story I just shared with you has been a fire under my ass for almost 2 decades now. So again, think back to one moment that lit your fire and ask yourself if you're still locked into it. Because if you're not locked in, it fades. And then we fade a little bit. We got to feed that. Now, why KiTS survived? Why newsletters? I mean, how about that? A lot of people talk about printed newsletters. Why would I send a printed newsletter when I got social media, I got text messages, I got WhatsApps, I got DMs, I got email, AI. Why would we still be doing a printed newsletter? Well, here, I kind of explained to you a little bit about the personalization a moment ago, but let's just dive into that a little bit more for a second here. Like, what kept KiTS alive all these years? It's not just the company, the staff, and that is definitely the big trigger there, right? Without this awesome team we've had, we don't get to where we are. It's not just the technology, right? I mean, again, when we stepped in, we created this idea with the variable data publishing that I explained to you before, with all the personalization. That was the differentiator, really, in a big way. The ability to create that unique message for each unique person. In saying that, we really offered you a mailing list on steroids. You could log into a system, you could adjust your mailing list, and from there we could create print newsletters. But that's where we had to grow, right? We had to step to that next level. We had to take the technology to a different level. And I'd say to you, was it the automation part of what we're doing that really did it? Was it the 2 international awards that we've won? Or is it simply the principle behind it all? I mean, think about it. Consistency builds MindShare. And newsletters, done right, they deliver consistency better than anything else that's out there. Anything. They're tangible, they're predictable. They trigger the neuroscience, the physical action of holding something. That actually increases recall. So when you see something on your screen, so we've got, okay. When you think about the brain, you think about the 3 levels of the brain, the neocortex, the limbic system, and the reptilian brain. That neocortex really controls the motor skills. The limbic system, the middle part of our brain, controls our emotions. And the deepest part, the smallest part of the brain, in fact, controls our decisions. And so in this case now, when you think, I want to get through to somebody, I want somebody to remember my message, I want somebody to remember me, I want to build more MindShare, I'm going to leverage more than just digital, more than just the emotions. But I want to trigger the emotions, I want to trigger the physical, because both of those combined are going to help me get closer to that reptilian brain, which actually makes the decisions. See, that's the idea when we talk about the neuroscience and the way the brain works. We may sit back and say, well, paper's more expensive than email. Fine. Paper's more expensive than social. Fine. More expensive than a phone call. Fine. But your email, your social, and your phone call do not walk you in the threshold through that door of somebody's home consistently every month. But a physical piece of paper does. especially when it's got a real stamp on it that creates a 9 out of 10 open rate, especially when it's highly personalized, which when people read it, they actually get value out of it. They come back for more. See, they build a familiarity with you. And because of the messaging on there and because of the consistency, it actually starts to build and establish trust. Never mind that. It's not just a free email. You've actually paid money, so it shows you care. And reality is, too, a piece of paper, as much as we might think, well, I can throw it out. Well, yeah, but think about how much longer that piece of paper's, how much more shelf life that piece of paper is going to have than an email ever will. Email we delete quickly. Social media we scroll past quickly. Text messages we can respond to or not. Phone calls we can ignore or not. But most importantly, when you think about the newsletter, again, they don't get lost in that digital feed. In 18 years of doing this, newsletters have outlived different market crashes. We've seen the market go up and we've seen the market go down. We've had, incredible markets and horrible markets. Newsletters are still kicking. We've seen changes of interest rates. Newsletters are still kicking. We've seen social media platforms come. Some of them go. Completely oversaturated. Newsletters are still kicking. Marketing trends that come and go. Again, online lead generation, chatbots, drip campaigns, action plans, AI right now. Newsletters are still kicking. And now, let's tack on. We've seen yet another competitor up and decide to get out of the business. See, newsletters survive because they trigger something primal in people's brains. We've got the physical, we've got the emotional, which makes it memorable. And that's what you call MindShare. And MindShare is what keeps clients loyal. It's what keeps people engaged, and it's what keeps us connected. So second action step here for you today. If you're not sending a newsletter, start now. Okay? Stop thinking about it. Stop wondering, I don't know. Is this going to do something for me? This is the most consistent piece of marketing you can send. This is getting you in and over the threshold into somebody's door. This, in a bad market, which we're not in a very strong market right now, is going to help you build that mindshare that you really want to build. It's going to get you more market share. It's going to show people that you haven't, gone and hidden in a corner. You haven't pulled back, but you're still committed. Committed to helping them with their real estate needs. So again, if you're not sending a newsletter now, you got to start. And if you are, hey, double down. Add more people to your database. Ensure you've got the consistency. And if you're finding that you're a little bit sporadic with it, again, this is where our company of KiTS comes in. We will do it all for you. You don't have to worry about a single thing. We got you. All right, let's take a quick commercial break right here. This episode of the MindShare Podcast is proudly supported by KiTS Keep in Touch Systems, the marketing powerhouse that keeps your database connected consistently. REM Real Estate Magazine, the most trusted source for industry insight and stories. And our friends over at Revel Realty, built on culture, creativity, and the drive to elevate real estate professionals. Support the partners who support your success and help you build mindshare every single day. So Dave, hold on a second. How did KiTS evolve into MindShare 101? Like, where was that all? Well, KiTS was really the beginning, but not the whole picture. See, as the years went on, something became obvious. Marketing wasn't really the only problem agents had. And I had noticed this earlier on, right? Agents needed more structure, better time management skills, more accountability. Agents were needing confidence. I noticed that. There was a lot of lack of confidence. They needed follow-up systems. They needed somebody to help them get them organized. And like we were doing all these sales presentations, and as we're doing them and signing people up, And we're sort of getting on in the years now. The years are starting to go, and now the landscape's changing. That guy Zuckerberg came out with that thing called Facebook. You might or might not have heard of it. I don't know. Anyways, but all the social media is now starting to really get heavy, and the email stuff is starting to get really heavy, and people are starting to really jump on all of this stuff. And here we are, going, well, what do we do? And we would have offices call up and say, hey, we want you to come out and do a presentation, but our agents don't want to be sold. Do us a favor, don't sell our agents. You're thinking, okay, yeah, I could do that. I'll go in there and I won't sell the agents. So we'd go in, we do a kick-ass presentation. We wouldn't sell anybody anything. And I'd walk out of there, everybody would be like, they learned something, and we didn't sell anything. And this was an issue, right? We didn't go there not to sell. And thinking about the time we're investing in all this stuff, like we need to sell. And I wasn't getting paid for the presentations, like just as even a speaker fee. So now what? Well, this is where everything changed, right? See, KiTS solved communication, but agents needed help solving everything around that. And as I was doing more education and trying to teach people one by one by one by one, realistically, that's how MindShare 101 was born. See, the foundation's always the same, right? Build MindShare with clients, with prospects, in your community, with your employees, with your audience, with your kids, again, if you're your players, if you're coaching a team. What we needed to do there was we needed to teach more people what to do, how to do it. We needed to teach people how to run their business in a way that they were going to be consistent, not just by building the MindShare and getting out there in front of people, but how do I drive more business? How do I drive more repeat referral business? It's not just about get up in the day, send a newsletter, and be, I'm a real estate agent. It's a much bigger play here, right? And so what we realize is MindShare it's not just marketing. It's influence. And influence helps shape behavior. It shapes decisions, and it shapes outcomes, and it shapes your reputation. See, MindShare came from the idea of trying to teach people how to market better, how to run their systems better. And then it became this beast of a concept, of a thought line, of a strategy. And that's why I've been telling you lately, you've got to build MindShare in everything you do. So again, I'm going to give you an action step here that says choose one area of your life where you want to build intentional MindShare and start showing up there consistently. Okay, it could be with your clients where you sit back and say, you know what, I want to do it with my clients. Okay. What does that marketing plan look like? Walking into the brand new year, what does it look like? What are you doing to build consistent MindShare? And again, we've got to get beyond just the digital channels. It's not enough. Now, I do want to say something to our current clients. You bet on the right horse. To every KiTS client listening, please know, you chose the right partner. You chose the company built on consistency, built on longevity, and built on real results. You chose a company that didn't fold. We haven't faded, and we haven't quit. And you should feel proud of that decision. Because when you're down, we're down. And when you're up, we're up. Together, though, we work through these markets. We work through these cycles together. And now, with thousands of agents suddenly without a system, you have an opportunity. And that opportunity really is to share, to support, to refer us, to tell your colleagues about this awesome system that you stumbled upon at one time or another, to tell your office about how great the KiTS system really is, and to tell your network, anybody that's out there beyond your office, because we over here, we're ready. We're equipped, we're staffed, we're stable, and we're here for the long run. And you can feel confident recommending KiTS because we are built to last. We've seen technology changes. We've seen competition come and go. We've been the small player. We're now the big player. We're here. We've made our mark. And as the years roll on, we continue to see the resilience and experience it, and help more and more agents get to that destination that they want to get to. by driving more business, creating more revenue, creating more freedom, building more mind share to get more market share. And much the same I'd say, if you're not a client, hey, I want you to know we're ready for you. Like if you're not a KiTS user yet, maybe your system just disappeared. Maybe your marketing's gone quiet. Maybe you're just tired of inconsistent results. This right now is the time. We are the proven alternative. 18 years, multiple market cycles, a recession, a pandemic, a digital shift, competition coming and going. We're still standing. CRM system, direct mail, farming flyers, email, drip campaigns, social media content, websites, custom websites, landing pages, drip campaigns, open house registries, the wow calendars. The list goes on. I could tell you, the marketing suite that has been built out with this system, it's actually one of those hidden secrets in the industry, which is incredible because we've got thousands of active people using the system. Yet oftentimes what people do is they go for what's bright and shiny, what's trending, without any proper rhyme or reason as to why. But like I said, we're still standing right now, stronger than ever. And so as an action step here, I want to encourage you. Reach out. Explore what KiTS has to offer. Let's rebuild your marketing and your mind share the right way. And just before we take off, here's what I want you to take away from today. Okay? Find something that lights your fire and don't let go of it. For the amount of times that I wanted to give up, for the amount of times that I hated what I was doing, for the amount of times that I got frustrated with the industry and the people and the lack of business or the travel or whatever it is, that fire kept me burning. That fire has multiple times over the years reminded me why I continue to do it and why we continue to win. And just last week, it just added even more gasoline to it. Because it showed me that we did it. So find something that lights your fire. Because that fire is going to carry you through your hard years. It's going to push you when you want to stop. And it's going to help you outlast the noise, the fads, the trends, the distractions, and yes, even your competition. KiTS hasn't survived by accident. MindShare 101 wasn't born by accident. And your success, it's not going to be by accident either. Your identity is built by showing up. Your reputation is built by consistency. Your mind share is built through repetition. And your legacy, that comes from refusing to quit. So I want to ask you, I want to encourage you, please share this episode with somebody that needs to hear it. Tell everybody you know about the KiTS program. Right now, I can tell you as well, with geo-farming flyers, a lot of people looking for neighborhood exclusivity. It's, as more people are calling, there's less availability. So make sure if you're looking for it, you get in touch real quickly. And if you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. It helps us spread this message and reach the people who need to hear it. I'm David Greenspan reminding you, build mindshare because mindshare equals market share. A big thank you to KiTS, Rem, and Revel for sponsoring today's episode, and thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you next week.